Okay, Caitlin Clark, it is so fun to see you. I haven't seen you for a little while, and I want to know what is better and new and improved about your game this season.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing has almost been like an off-court thing. I feel like my leadership has improved a lot. Obviously, as a freshman and being put into the role I kind of was last year is kind of different and not something my whole team had experienced, our coaches had experienced. So I think just kind of growing in that role, being more vocal, knowing when to say stuff, knowing when to not to say stuff. And I think learning in that area has been a big thing. I think defensively, our whole team has been trying to improve in that area. And then obviously just little things within my game. I think there's always room to improve and things that I still work on now that we're in season, whether it's before practice or after practice, staying up and getting shots. I think, always taking a little time to improve yourself no matter what time of the year it is.
So your leadership, I think, is interesting because I just happened to be there this fall on a day when you were presenting information to the White House. Tell me
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, I did a little White House gender equity thing with a lot of awesome other people in not only women's basketball, but women's athletics. Coach Hutch from Michigan softball. They had quite a few people on there. Obviously, a lot from women's basketball just because of the role and the situation we were in with March Madness last year, and we were kind of in the spotlight for that. But some of the similar things happened with volleyball even. So kind of had an opportunity to talk with people at the White House, which was super cool. And they gave us some time out of their busy days. But yeah, I think Corey Close, who was actually my USA basketball coach this summer, was kind of the head of that. She was the head of the WBCA, so kind of had a big role in that, and getting to spend the summer with her and talk to her a lot about certain issues like that has been super cool and super eye-opening, something she's super passionate about, just growing our game and bringing more attention to it.
Okay, take me back to this little girl. You've grown up with a brother that is a football player. He plays at Iowa State. Tell me about this little girl in the backyard. Where did the love of basketball come from?
Yeah, I honestly grew up playing a lot of sports, and I grew up in a neighborhood that had a lot of boys. Obviously, I grew up with two brothers, one older, one younger. So I got pushed around a lot. That's just how it was. And, my mom was like, if you want to hang out with them, you just got to hold your own. You got to learn to play with them. And, they never took it easy on me. So I wasn't happy about that when I was younger, but now looking back, I'm really grateful for that. I think it really molded me into the person that I am. And as I said, I grew up playing a lot of sports, and I honestly didn't really specialize in basketball until I got into high school. And I kind of figured out like that was going to be my future, but I really loved soccer growing up. I played softball. If we were running around the neighborhood with the boys, I would have to play football because that's what they love to do too. And I grew up playing a lot of sports, but eventually by high school, I knew that basketball was my future, and that's kind of what I started focusing on.
Okay, best shot you've ever made.
Oh, man. That's hard. That is really hard. Dang. In our comeback versus Iowa State last year, I had a step back three to put us up 2 with like 30 seconds to go, which ended up for us winning the game. So I'd probably go that. Obviously, I've had a lot of big shots, but we did end up winning that game. So that was probably not only the biggest, but one of the most important that I've hit.
Most interesting thing about you off the court.
Ooh. I have a really big sweet tooth, so I like baking. Warm chocolate chip cookies are like my weakness. They always have been growing up. That's always what our family made. Homemade brownies. But my mom is a super good cook, so I have to give her a shout out. So that's kind of where I learned it. But yeah, I have a big sweet tooth for basically anything chocolate. I'm definitely a chocolate girl.
There's one thing I want to ask you about that's kind of intriguing that's happening this week is I feel like there was some blowback for attention that you get this week. How do you process that? Like, I'm fascinated by this whole concept because I'm kind of like, so hard for any women to get attention, so that why would we tear down any woman that's getting attention? But I wondered how you view it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is not going on social media too much. And, obviously it's such a big part of our lives now. It's just something that we do. And just really finding that balance. And honestly, I'm not on it that much. I think not reading what other people say, and, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's how it is. I think just not reading it too much, not going on it too much. But, the women's game is so great. So I think just building up everybody. I mean, we have so many great players. I love supporting them. I've honestly been teammates with a lot of them just because I've played USA basketball so many times, and you get the opportunity not even if they end up being on the team, but you meet them at tryouts, you get to know them better. So I know a lot of the girls, and you know, I love watching women's basketball. I have it on all the time, but I think social media, you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And that's always just kind of what my mom has always said growing up. It doesn't really matter what, they don't really know you at the end of the day. And, you know, I think the biggest thing is just not going on it too much, not reading into it, whether it's good or bad. Either way, I think it can affect you if it's good or bad. But, you know, it is great for our game, getting people on TV, getting their name out on social media. But I think you definitely have to take it with a grain of salt. And I think for myself, just not going on it too much, not reading it. And that's kind of just been the biggest thing, because we're in the heart of our season now. This is when we need to play our best basketball. And, you know, I don't really have the time to go on there anyway. But yeah, I would say that.
I think there's room for everybody. And I think the media, we need to do a better job. I'll take responsibility too, is like, we have to spread it out and make sure everybody's getting elevated, you know, that we're not just focusing on one or two players. I know we were totally guilty. We overhyped the Paige Becker, Caitlin Clark matchup in the Sweet 16 last year. What did you think of all that hype? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I mean, obviously with two freshmen that are really good, that's kind of an uncommon thing, not something you've really seen. And I think that just shows the talent level in women's basketball and what it's going to be going forward. But obviously it is a lot of pressure on two 18-year-olds. And, but you know, me and Paige, we've been pretty good friends for a while. And if that's what it's going to be to increase the attention on the women's game and playing on ABC and national network, I think that was also great for both of our programs. It got people excited. A lot of people tuned into that game. But yeah, obviously a lot of pressure. And I was off social media before that as well. But then I'd turn on SportsCenter and they'd still be talking about it. But no, it's awesome. And, you know, that's what you want. It was good for our program, good for their program. And, you know, at the end of the day, all that matters is you go out on that court and compete. And, you know, that's just kind of what you try to focus on.
I think what made it unique in some respects is that you're both really great shooters. It's kind of like how you play, but then also that you knew each other and played together growing up and had seen each other through your AAU circuits growing up.
Yeah, and I think certainly, obviously, two kids from the Midwest, Paige from Minnesota, me from Iowa. So we kind of grew up knowing each other. And I think the first time I saw her play, she might have been in 5th or 6th grade. So I've kind of watched her develop for a while, and I always played up, and her team was super good. So she always played at her age level, but so we never really played each other a ton. But people would always email my high school coach, like, you have to set up a game, Hopkins versus Dowling. People even wanted us to play each other then, but no, I think it's really awesome for the Midwest and our two AAU programs. But yeah, obviously a lot of similarities in our game and in our paths even to college basketball as well.
Okay, who taught you how to shoot? I mean, the shot is pure. Let's just be honest. Who taught you how to shoot?
Honestly, my dad. He was my first ever coach growing up, and I played with the boys. I played with a lot of boys, but he coached my older brother as well. And when he had practices, I would always go tag along, and I would always get mad at him because he would never let me shoot on a 10-foot hoop, even when I was a little girl. Like, I wanted to chuck it up there and have really bad form, but I would get mad at him because he wouldn't let me. But in the long run, I understand it now, just because, you know, form shooting, I think, is so important in getting that good form down. But I think, honestly, like, I just watched a lot of basketball growing up. That's just who we were. We were a big sports family. So yeah, I think just watching the NBA, watching college players, and then just going out in the front driveway and trying to reciprocate that and put it into what I was going to do, really, more than anything.
Anything else that you're like, oh, people need to know I'm really nerdy about this, or things that I'm good at? Anything else fun?
That's hard. Obviously, I don't have a ton of free time. In my free time, I probably watch a lot of Netflix. So if anybody has any good Netflix suggestions, I will take them. Do you have any?
Yes. The Sex Life of College Girls. I just watched that.
And I did hear that's good. Some of my teammates have been watching that. I just finished Ted Lasso, actually. I know that's not Netflix, but have you seen that?
So good. Yes. Yeah, don't tell me anything about the second season. I'm not.
Oh, you haven't seen it
yet.
I flew through it. It was too good. I had to keep going.
Yeah, that one's good, and it's really inspirational. Bridgerton is my other total fave.
I've heard about that. I might have to check.
You haven't watched Bridgerton?
No, I haven't.
Don't do anything else with your life until you watch tonight.
Okay.
Promise me Bridgerton.
Okay, I'll start it up tonight.
I'll expect a full review. Okay.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.